books together. But so I figured let's do chapter 9 and chapter 10 because those are the more important ones first. And then Wednesday, I'm going to go over chapter 7. And if we have time, chapter 12. So your exam is only going to be testing you on chapters 1 through 6, 9, and 10. Okay? Nothing on 7, nothing on 12, because those are going to be after your exam. Okay? So again, chapter 9 is going to be the fun part because it's where you get to be a little creative, and you also get to draw your own tables and diagrams and whatnot. All right. So for this example here, I have a few sections that I want to kind of show you one-on-one and how to create a few things. So first one here is going to be very, very simple information. Again, if you guys remember from chapter 5 and 6, I had a little piece of my own little table that has things from my Henderson location, and for displaying a specific type of item and displaying the profits that are my sales I had for that day. Now, so if I go ahead and go to insert, right, and I look at this little section right here, there's no, it's going to be under charts. So you're going to have a variety of charts that you can create. Now, of course, if you would like, you could go ahead and do the little drop-down menu. So this is what a bar graph looks like. So you have a choice between 2D, 3D. You could have the way that you want to look at it. You want it, the bars going vertical, or you want the bars going horizontal. Okay. And then you can also click more column charts. Now, once you've done that, you're going to notice that you have an array of all these different types of charts you can look for. So instead of looking at your little mini bar, little icons over there, you could go ahead and look at what Excel has to offer for you as far as charts in general. So here you can look at line charts, where you get to draw the line and it's displayed by number. You can do pie charts, right? Where you have a circle and it gives you like a little piece of information on depending on what you want to look for. So in this case, if I were to do my sales for my Supreme coffee for my Henderson location here, I can see that, well, in this month I had that many sales, and this month I had that many sales. So it just depending on what information that you are looking at. But if you guys know math, it has to be 100%. So you can look at that. You could have it flat like this, like to show you like an actual piece by piece. And I believe the great thing about this is you're actually able to move the pieces. So it's pretty cool. Okay. I believe it's yeah, so you can also do a little pie chart like this. So it's pretty cool on what kind of different types of things you want to look at. Okay, you could do a regular bar graph. You could do the surface area. So again, when you're dealing with other things, scatter plots. Okay, and you could do stocks. You could even do you could do combinations where if you have more than one detail in there, you could have a line graph going on a bar graph. Okay, so there's lots of things that you can do when you're looking at charts and graphs per se. Now, obviously, the more depending on what kind of company you are, or depending on even the subject that you're dealing with. So if you're dealing as an accountant, you're more likely to use bar graphs and pie charts and maybe even a line graph, okay, just to show profitability. Okay, so these would be the more common ones right here in a bar graph too. Now with that, right, you you could also think about how area would apply for scientists, right? When you're looking at density, okay? Scatter plots, okay? This is definitely for when you're dealing with I forgot what that subject is called. Statistics. There you go. When you're dealing with statistics, when you're collecting data from everywhere, right? Or even it could be applied to a scientist study, right? When you're doing your scientific tests and you're testing your hypotheses or theories or whatever, you can be able to use the scatter plot to apply for that. So all of these are based on every single subject out there in the book that uses Excel, and it can help you. Excel can help you do a lot of stuff. Now, again, our main focus is primarily just pie charts, bar graphs, and line graphs. Okay, those are our more common ones that we're going to be using. Now, for the sake of this actual, I'm going to go ahead and cancel this out. For the sake of this actual scenario, all I want to be looking at is how much of each information I'd be able to get. So what I mean by that is I'm going to use a bar graph, or a column graph as they call it, because a bar graph is going horizontal, a bar graph is going vertical. So I'm going to do a vertical column graph, and I'm going to go ahead and just select it. Now what it's going to do is it's going to take all your information that is applied to your table. So for example, you see this. Now, depending on how you want to look at it, this looks a little strange. It looks a little strange because you've highlighted way too much information, right? Something looks off, okay? So you also want to be very careful on the information that you're highlighting, because that's ultimately going to determine how your graph is going to look. So in this case, because I'm doing a regular bar graph or something like that, I only need two components. I need an x-axis and a y-axis, okay? So here we're going to be taking it a little into how math is actually working, to understand math, okay? So a x-axis is going to be going horizontal. A y-axis is going to go vertical. Okay? You need to understand this so you know how to manipulate and design your table. Okay? So for this example, as you can see, everything is here accordingly to my sales, right? However, this says it's all Supreme Coffee. We already know it's all Supreme Coffee. Excuse me. However, I wanted to display by month of each one. So on my x-axis, right, I want these to indicate that they're different months. And obviously my title, it says sales, and these are the given amounts. Now, the given amounts are correct. Now, when you create your chart, right, it's just going to create whatever selected information that you've given it. So if you guys remember from my previous one where I highlighted all 4 details, it tried to make some kind of information, try to make some kind of graph out of the information I gave, and it looked a lot more messier. In this case, when you're ideally only trying to focus on a specific type of information, that's where you only select those cells to create your table. So in this case, my main focus is I want to know what my sales are in Supreme Coffee for these specific numbers, right? But I do want to indicate it by the month. As you can see, a lot of the titles are a little inaccurate. You need to edit after you completed your information. So in this case, what's going to happen is if you actually click your graph, you're going to get 3 bars or 3 little squares, okay? And what each one does is, okay, the first one is customizing everything that's on your graph, okay? For example, axes, right? So do I have an x-axis and do I have a y-axis, right? If you click this, it's going to automatically pop up this little thing, and it pretty much gets rid of your axes, okay? But you do want your axes. You need that in order to determine what your area, what the information that you're trying to display. So here are titles. Do you want access titles? I do want access titles. Okay? Okay? And then what you can do is you can actually edit each piece of information by just clicking on it and just changing on it. So I want to actually title this table as my location, which is Henderson, right? Henderson. Okay? And under my axes title, I'm going to go ahead and change that to be Supreme Coffee, because that's what ultimately I am trying to display here. Is I want to display Supreme Coffee. Now what I can do is, let's look at my information carefully. Okay, so I got 6,000, 48,000, and 95,000, right? And if you look at this carefully, these are in order by month. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change these titles right here to display to display what I want to display, which is I want this to say January. And I can't even, oopsies, I can't even change it. Okay, and if you're unable to do it, that's also fine too. It's just depending on how you interpret your graph. If you think that is something that you don't want, you don't really necessarily have to have. So in this one, I want to change that to sales. Okay, now in this one, for some reason I can't change this information. I can't even move it, so I'm gonna leave it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to change the bars, okay, to reflect the information I want to reflect. Okay, so in this case, okay, I went a little too far ahead, but in this case, I finished what I want to label my table as. Okay. Here it says, do you want a chart title? Yes, we do. My chart title is going to be Henderson. So again, if I were to uncheck that, I have no title. But I do want it to have that. Okay, so data labels. Do I want the numbers to show specifically? You know what? That looks nice. I would like for something like that, just so that instead of getting a rough estimate, I know what the exact number is. Okay. Do I want to show the data table? Okay. Yes, I do. No, I don't. I think I had this originally as no, I don't. Okay. And then do I want my grid lines? If I want it clean, I don't really need it. But again, because we're looking at estimated values, but we do have the actual value on top, that I don't need my grid lines because it looks what do you call it? It looks cleaner without the grid lines. Okay, so in this case, we have our legends, which I don't want legends, but it changed my title, so I have to change that back. So legends basically gives you like, oh, what does this color mean as far as each one, and it'd be really cool if I could add a bunch of other ones. Let's see if I could. So we'll talk about that when we move on to actually changing the styles and the color of the table. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change this back to Henderson. Okay, and hopefully that doesn't change this. Okay, good. So we'll come back to this in a second because I want to show you what you can do once you've already gone through all of those options as far as adding details to your table. Okay. Once you're done with the first section, the next section is going to be how you want to change the style. Okay, change the look of the diagram. Do you want it like this? You want it like this, right? So you have a little options when it comes to this, and this is under style. Okay, depending on how you like it. Now that looks pretty cool, but I personally don't really like it. You know, in fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and go stick with my actual first one. You can also do it so that you could see, or not see, but, you know, if you have like a color theme for your company, you could go ahead and manipulate this. And so once you've selected this, right, the next column, the next tab over is going to be color. Okay. Now, depending on what your information is, you can have it color scheme like this. So if you want a bunch of colors, so depending on what style you format your Excel workbook to be as, you can have the table complement it using the same colors. You can choose solid colors if that's your preference. So I could choose all blue, all orange, all yellow. So I could do that. And I can also pick my own color if I really wanted to. And in this case, I'm gonna keep it blue for now. But what I'm gonna do instead is I'm actually gonna change the bar color individually, right? Remember how I was telling you, oh, I don't really like this color, right? This preset color schemes, they're not that great looking per se. I don't think these are great. So what you could do is you could actually double click this, and what's going to happen is your format window is going to pop up on the right side. So in this case, I want to do a fill. Okay, I want to change this color to a solid fill color. And right here is where you can actually change the color of the bars. And in this case, I'm going to make the first bar red. Okay, and I'm going to make the second bar, I'm going to make it orange. All right, and then I'm going to leave this nice blue alone. So here I've indicated 3 different colors. Now what's going to happen here is all of a sudden down here I have a new map. Okay, but I don't want it to display this. Wait, hold on. Where did I get this from? Okay, so okay, again, Control Z is your best friend. Please come back. There you go. Okay, so you notice, okay, so I actually got rid of the red bar. Let me see if I can go ahead and edit this information, or I'm going to delete it. Okay, so I don't need that. Okay, because if I can tell that I'm going to make sure that I know that red is going to be for January. I still have this one here. February is going to be in the month of this orange color. And then lastly, this is going to be the month of March. Now, as long as you have the information displayed here on the table, then you don't need to explain this graph as much as you want. Now, of course, you would be able to, if you like, to change the information so that it looks accordingly. Like if you need to have that there you go. If you need to have that little table to kind of tell you what color means what, you know, you're more than welcome to do so. But like I said, my graph is pretty self-explanatory, especially when we're looking at our table here. I mean, you could if you'd like, by adding legends. That's what it was called, legends. If you needed to have your colors to be displayed here. And I'm trying to edit the information. Okay. So here, if I were to go here, I'd be able to change what I want the actual things to say. So in this case, I'd be able to edit the information by selecting, okay, so I want to select January, let's just say, and I click OK. So now I see that I have January here. I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to select February, okay, and oh, okay, it didn't work there. But I see that, you see how it changed this right here, the titles. So I don't want that, but for some reason it's not letting me do it because I clicked edit and I want January. Or maybe I should click and highlight all three. And click OK. There you go. And I click OK. And here it displays for me. January is red. February is in orange, and lastly my March is the blue one, and it keeps everything there. So in this case you would have to indicate that this is whatchamacallit, this is your regular coffee. So that's what I'm trying to say, like I don't know why I can't keep it constant in one something. I think it's because there's too many variables going on. But you'd be able to, you could do Henderson in the title, Henderson, or even here on this title, you could even write Supreme Coffee Sales, just so then you're able to edit that information. So again, I changed it to a point where my axes display different types of information. So here again, if you're doing a color scheme, it shouldn't be that this is too much information for my liking. But if you need it to do that, you're able to. All right. So that is how you do a one-dimensional, only using one type of information graph. Okay. And again, you'd be able to apply many graphs. In this case, I just wanted to show you how to do a simple column graph. All right. So the next thing that I can also look at is I can do what's called dual axes, graphs, meaning I can have two depictions of two graphs in one certain location. Wait, I'm going to go ahead and go back a step real quick because I forgot one more thing to say. So here, this is our graph, and we notice that we notice that this is how our sales are going from the month of January to March, right? Now, for Henderson, what we can do is the cool thing about Excel is you can actually predict what the next month is going to be by doing a trend line. So as you can see, if you were to do this, it gives you a slight prediction of what's going to happen in the future. Now, of course, you can, if you want to add another line in there, it's going to show you maybe an estimated projection of the future. So you could see what future sales would potentially look like. But in this case, I just want to see what my trend is. So I noticed in January, I did really good. But in February, I slouched a bit. But in March, my sales went up skyrocket. It actually doubled the amount in February. So that's what a trend line is. Now it's optional if you want to choose it. If you don't, that's completely fine. I think did I turn off grid lines? Yes. So I want my, that's perfect. I like my table just like that. Okay, and you know what? I think I will throw in that trend line. Okay, so again, what a trend line does is it can help you predict sales in the future, but it can also show you, well, what is most likely to occur. Okay, it gives you, in statistics, we call it like a curve, but it's It's not 100% something you need to know for accounting. Okay, so this is when you're doing your reports, especially when you're a profit manager. This is something you definitely want to look at as far as building your tables and whatnot. But just for a regular person that's just doing accounting and just doing a final report, graphics does enhance your information. Okay. So here, I'm going to be looking at my Las Vegas location. So if you notice here, I do have another little section right here called my profits. So what this can do for you is if you have two series of information, what you can do is you can create what's called a combination graph. Okay, so again, when we go into our insert table, you're going to notice that you're going to have a combo chart. And again, what the combo chart does is it allows you to look at two different types of information at once. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and cancel that real quick or clear this information out because that's not what the table I'm looking for. I just want to look at January through March, and I want to look at these two specific things. I'm going to look at sales and the profit margin that I've reached for that day. And I'm going to go ahead and click combo. And what you notice is this is what's going to look like. Now, that doesn't look how I want it to look like. I want it to look different. As you can see, my profit's flat and my sales are up like this. Okay? So what I'm going to do is, instead of looking at different types of styles and whatnot, I'm actually going to change. Oopsies, I hit the wrong one. I'm actually going to change. So let me go ahead and Control Z that. I'm actually going to change my chart type. So by going into there, you're going to see that same dialog box that gives you a variety of what kind of charts you want to do. Now, if I go to combo charts, right, that's the first one that displays. It's usually your profit line or your second piece of information is going to be the bottom line. I want it to have a zigzag or show that I have some kind of profitability, right? Something that's going to display something else. This is a wave. I don't want the wave, but I want something like this. Okay, I want them to show two different types of asset or two different types of series of information, and I want them to be very visible. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and what you're going to notice is my graph changes. Now I need a chart title. I'm going to name this Las Vegas because these are my Las Vegas sales. And I noticed that with my profit line, again, I started out negative, but as soon as I made my next sale, right, my next sale increased. Therefore, it made me have a positive number. And then when my sales skyrocketed, it skyrocketed my profit margin. So this is a good depiction, and as you can see, because it's dual access, you have your sales on the left and you have your profitability on your right. So you also want to make sure that if you are planning to do legends, you want to make sure that you also, not legends, I'm sorry, axes chart title, axes title, right? You want to make sure that you locate each one and make sure that you are specific on each one, so that when some stranger or a profit manager is looking at your work in your table, they can understand what each side represents. Las Vegas. Okay, again, it's up to you. You could choose whether you want to change each one, but as you can see, I have it already located here. I have Supreme Coffee for January, Supreme Coffee for February, and Supreme Coffee for March. Okay, so it's already associated. I don't need to change the color unless you want to have, unless you want to actually, make it colorful and pretty. Whatever, it's up to you, okay? All of those things are up to you. And I'm going to change my title to say sales. Oopsies. LES, and I can get rid of the word title. But I can't get rid of the word. There you go. There you go. Title. And I want the word sales. Okay, sales right there. And then here I'm going to have profits. Profits. But I need to get rid of that E. Okay, profits. All right. And then down below says Axie's title. I don't think I need one for this one. It's pretty self-explanatory. So there you go. This is how I want my graph to look, especially when you're dealing with a dual access one. So again, it's all about exploring bits and pieces of information. Again, this is more towards profitability, which is part of accounting. But if you're just doing bookkeeping and accounting, you want to steer clear because there is a person that can do this for you. So you don't need to worry too much about it. But that's how you're able to do a dual access graph. When you have two types of scenarios and you want to change the way it looks, that's how you would do it. Okay, you go to combo or you would go to change a chart type and modify it that way. Okay, so you have options when you do that. All right, let's see what else I have to teach you. So, okay, next portion is going to be how to use spark lines. Okay, so we're going to move on to North Las Vegas location. Okay, so what spark line does for you is it pretty much gives you a mini graph in the size of a cell. Okay, what do I mean by that? I will show you. Okay, so for this example, let's say for trends, I want to look at my sales trends, right? I'm going to highlight this and then I'm going to go to insert and then I'm going to look up spark lines. Now, spark lines, there are 3 different types of spark lines you can have, right? You can have either a line, a column, or a win and loss. So let's say I want a line and it tells me, well, what cell do I want to put it in? I'm going to put it here on my first trends. Now what you're going to see is it's going to draw a small little graph. Now, depending on how, if you really want to, if you want the picture to be bigger or wider, you would just adjust the cell as is. And the picture will get bigger. Now, of course, if you want more detail in it, a title and stuff in it, then you're more better off just creating your own table than have to squeeze in small information like that in such a small cell. Now, again, this is just for this is for the purpose of quick quick analysis. So let's say I just want to see a quick trend. So just by me looking at this, okay, my trend is not doing so good. I go up in sales, I hit a peak, and then I drop into sales. So therefore, my sales does not look good. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight the sales again. And this time, instead of doing it as a line graph, maybe that's not really helping me. I want to look at it as in terms of the shape of a bar. So I'm going to go to spark lines and I'm going to do columns. And I want to select this specific cell. Now, if I look at this, I can definitely see, wow, I increase, and then I plummet really hard in March 7th. So from looking at this, I can tell that maybe it was a hype thing in February for the Supreme Coffee, but then in March, maybe something happened. Maybe it was too hot to drink coffee that my Supremes just like dropped down really bad. Maybe it was just too expensive in March. I don't know. There could be a lot of factors to why it went up, 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 and it dropped really bad. Okay. Now, the last one I'm going to show you is going to be win/loss. Now, this one is pretty straightforward, okay, when you're dealing with wins and losses, okay? So this is definitely geared towards profitability, right? For this example, right, profitability, you have a possible, chance to have a negative number. And that's, you need to have a negative number in order for your wins and loss graph to actually make sense, okay? Because if they were all positive number, what difference would your would the graph look compared to a regular column graph, right? If they're all positive, they're all going to be lifting up. Now, I'll show you what I mean when I say that. Okay, so let me highlight all this. And let me go ahead and show you the spark line for wins and losses. And I want it here. Okay. Now, if you notice, if it falls below 0, it's red and it's at the bottom. Okay. If it's above 0, it will be blue, and it's at the top, not the bottom. Okay. So that is what I mean when we're looking at wins and losses. Is in order to give a real depiction of a profitability or a win and a loss, you definitely want to make sure that your information has negative numbers. If it doesn't, what difference would this graph be to a regular column graph if they're all positive? Okay. So here I'm showing that I did start off with my profitability as a negative number. It's because, I don't know, I'm making an assumption that I just started my company. Of course, you're never going to start on a positive number. You're going to start off as a loss. Reason being is because you had to make so many expenses in the beginning that the sales, usually if you're a brand new company, your sales are expected to come in slowly. It's never going to be skyrocket, the most amazing thing, especially if you're introducing your product, your product, and it's new to the consumer pool. So you want to make sure that this is, so just by looking at this is just a quick analysis of my sales in North Las Vegas. And as I can see, I did okay, and then I dropped. So again, just looking at this information and how the graph is depicting the information, it's showing me that I need to do something to entice people to buy more Supreme coffee. Okay? So that's the purpose of spark lines. It's just to do quick analysis, quick graphs, and that is it. All right. So the next portion I'm going to introduce to you is going to be how to use illustrations / how to insert smart art. Now, if we go into our insert and we go into illustrations, right, you have a few options that you can choose from. You can either insert a picture, you can look up a picture from online sources, you can add shapes, you can add icons, you can add 3D models, you have smart art, and then lastly you have a screenshot. Okay, so out of these options, they're pretty straightforward. If you want to add a picture of a coffee cup, you're more than welcome to. You can look up a picture of a coffee cup. So for example, I want to use my online resource to try to look up for a coffee cup. And I'm going to write coffee mug, right? And here I see a bunch of mugs. Do I want to use them? I can. Like I like this one, right? So I can go ahead and tap that, double click it, and it's going to show up right here. And, with the plus sign tool with the arrows going and pointing in all directions, I can move my stuff that way. I can, when I'm here, I can toggle the size to resize it. I can make it bigger. I can make it smaller. You know, it just depends on what you want to do. But that's how you insert a picture into this. So it's pretty straightforward when you're entering pictures. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I don't need a coffee cup. Okay. However, what I do want to show you is how to use smart art. Okay. So 3D modeling and icons, those are a little more advanced if you understand what you're doing. But if you're very new to just art in general, or just, you know, illustrating anything on a platform, you know, just trying your best as you can as far as like just creating simple things it's fine. Again, 3D art is more for a little more advanced when you're looking into creating your charts and stuff. Now, once I open up my smart art, right, it's going to give me a few options of what I can do. Now, I can actually create a list. So it's going to show me, for example, like I could do a list of items where I could do honeycomb shaped. You know, this is definitely good for graphic organizers, right? If you try to do like a web, like for example, like you want to do a plot, right? You want to display your information, right? That would be useful for this. Okay, for example, and then for other ones, there's process. So process is kind of like showing you the next step after this, then after this, then after this. Other ones is like a cycle, like this is definitely used for like if you do have a cycle of things that you want to display. For example, the accounting cycle, if you want to actually show a graphic depiction of every step in it, you're able to do that here. We could do hierarchy, right? If you have a chain of command. You could do relationships. So like finding two key points and see what the relationship between them are. There's a lot of things that you can do. And in your book, it shows you how to use the hierarchy one. And of course, the way that you want it to display is going to be whatever you choose and whatever you want. Okay, so in this case, your book shows you how to use the hierarchy one. And I believe they tell you to select the first one. So you're going to get this little box here that's going to say, well, what do you want to name each one? And what content do you want in each box? Okay. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and say, well, you know what? I am going to make a graphic organizer to display all the locations that I have for my coffee cafe. Okay, so I type in coffee cafe. Right? I notice I don't need this information right here. So you can right click and you can either delete or remove it. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Or you can just actually press the backspace button and it will take it out of the entire picture itself. Okay? And you also be able to add stuff too. So don't worry if you delete something and let's say, oh shoot, I forgot something, right? You can go ahead and right click and you can add it right back in. Okay, so if I click add, do I want to add it below? Do I want to add it above? Do I want to add a shape beside it? In this case, I don't need to add anything, but I'll just show you for an example of what you can do in case you do delete too many things. I can add above it. So here, I forgot to add a title here, so I created this one. So yes, it just depends on how you want to organize your graph, your chart. But in this case, I don't need it because I only have 3 locations and I want to edit it this way. Now, you can actually edit each one by using the table here. But, you know, you don't have to use this table. This table is just a guideline for you to be able to insert stuff or delete stuff. you can go ahead and just enter the thing right directly into the graph. So in this case, this one's going to be what? North Las Vegas. This one's going to be Henderson. And this one's going to be just regular Las Vegas. Okay, just like that. I created my table like that. Okay, now of course you're able to change the way it looks, the color scheme. So here, if I wanted to change the color, I can make it really colorful. I can make it, you know, black and white. I can make it gray with white font. You can make it whatever color you want to be. You know, and I kind of like this gray color. All right. So I'm going to click it like that, right? And that's going to be under your smart art styles. Okay. Now you can go ahead and again choose what style you want. If it's not something that you like, of course you're able to actually change them one at a time. So if you were to double click it, if you were to right click it, you'd be able to change whatever you want to do. You can format the shape, and when you do that, it's going to give you that side window panel right here where you can change the color that you want it to be. Okay, so that's what's cool about that. Okay, but let's say I like the color, but I just don't like how the layout is. That's okay. If you go to the layout section right here, you can actually choose up to any layout that you want it to look like, you know? So again, it's all stylistic on how you want to look like. You want every single one to look like this. You want it to have boxes inside. Now, I think that looks really cool if I were to have boxes inside them. So that's how you can be manipulated. Again, this is all stylistic on how you want to do it. Again, this is a graphic organizer of showing me, well, if I'm going to have my coffees, I want to make sure that I can show that I have 3 separate locations. Okay? And that's how you use Smart Art. Okay? It's pretty easy, it's pretty user friendly. Just understanding what kind of information you need to do as part of how to fill it out. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that window, and that's my graphic organizer there. All right, last thing I'm going to show you is how to use shapes. Okay, so in this case, I want to actually create a company logo, you know, just for the heck of it, just for the fun of it. So I'm going to go ahead and insert, and I'm going to make a really simple logo by using shapes. Now, yes, you can do that if you've already have one that you've created using, you know, Adobe or some kind of photo software. You're able to actually just be able to, you know, upload your photo into here, and that would be it. Now, again, if you use online materials, obviously it's going to be copyrighted, so you can't really technically use that. But you know what? I'm not very good at this. I'm going to go ahead and just create my logo using shapes. Okay. Now, if you were to click the down arrow, it's going to give you a wide selection of shapes that you can choose from, right? You can choose a lot of shapes. Okay. You can even insert symbols if you really wanted to, okay? Here, I see that, okay, cool, I have a heart sign, I have a pentagon sign, I have a bunch of things I want to look at. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click the pentagon symbol, and I'm just going to, I don't know, I'm going to go from C, I don't know, what is it, C2? I'm going to go C2 all the way to E9. I think E9 was it. Okay? So E9. Now, There are tricks and ways that you can do this. Now, if you click and hold and drag, you can make it narrower, you can make it wider. But one key trick that they teach you is if you want to keep it proportionate, just while you're click and holding and dragging, press and hold the shift button, and it's going to resize it in proportion, as in every side is the same, to whatever cell you want to choose to. So again, I want to do to E9. So that's what it's going to look like when I press to E9. And if I let go, there it is. Okay. And then, of course, just like before, when you're in this section, you're going to be in the design section, which populates what you want to do for your shapes. Now, if you roll over them, it's going to give you like a little preview, so you can, instead of committing to that exact style or that specific color, you're able to get a little preview before actually selecting what you want. Okay, and in this case, I kind of like the black fill with the white text. All right. Okay, or maybe I like the blue one or the purplish color. I don't know. Now, of course, you don't need, if you absolutely don't like that fill color, you can actually change it using the little arrow here. Let's say I don't like that color, I want it to be a different color. I can choose from this and it will show me what I want. Now this is outline. I want to fill the color. So right here, fill. If I want to pick a specific color, if I want to choose a color from the color wheel, I am able to. I can choose red, purple, whatever color I want, right? But in this case, I like the black with the white text. Okay, it's already preset thing for me. Okay, and then I'm gonna also have a banner running behind it. So I'm gonna go insert again, insert shape, and this time I'm gonna do this little rectangle square. Now what I'm gonna do is I want my banner to be we can make it three rows wide. Okay, so I'm gonna go from F. Let's see. I don't know. I'm gonna draw it up here and watch what I can do. So I'm gonna go from F2, and I'm gonna drag it all the way to. Let me see. That's 2. So I'm gonna do it. I don't know, to K2. All right, and I'm gonna make it 3 rows wide. And I don't like this style. I want to change it to, maybe I'll do it like this. So then it's black and white and it's a nice bar. Okay. Now what I can do is I can actually select these items, right? Because I want to make a logo out of this, right? Instead of actually instead of just selecting this white background and be able to just put it behind here, kind of guesstimate where I want to do it. Let's say I want it precise and I want it accurate. What I could do is I can select these 2 shapes, and I'm going to go up to my ribbon and I'm going to go to arrange. Now you're going to have a few options when you look at arrange. You can either arrange it, you can bring it forward, bring it backwards. You can either select it from the pane. Here, this is the option where you can align the objects, right? And if you click it down, you can either align it left, center, right, top, middle, or bottom. I'm going to go ahead and center it first. So now they're both in the center. And then I'm going to go ahead and click that button again, and this time I want it in the middle. So notice what you're seeing here. You're seeing that it precisely organized all my shapes in the way that I want it to be. I want it like this. But seeing how my banner's a little thinner, I'm going to go ahead and change the width of my banner just a bit. And I notice when I do that, I'm changing the size of my shape as well. So I'm going to undo that and I'm going to click outside of the box. And I just only want to highlight this box. And then be able to toggle it here. So I want it to be a little thicker like that. Now I want my black pentagon shape to be in front of the white box, right? So what I can do is I can either choose the white one or I can choose the black pentagon. Now if I choose that shape, I'm going to go ahead and go into my where am I? I'm going to go ahead and click my shape, and it should have design at the top. It's supposed to have design at the top, or let me see form. Okay, it's under format. So if I were to click my black pentagon and I want to bring it forward, I go back to my arrange. And again, remember when we had you want to send the shape in front or you want to send the shape into the back. Now, because I have my black pentagon selected, I want to bring that one forward. And see, it keeps everything intact the way it is, but it organizes the shapes that you've placed on there. It organizes it in the order that you want it to be. Okay? And now I want to add a title. So I'm going to put my cap locks on because I want my word Coffee Cafe to be in caps. And then I'm going to highlight that because what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the format of my fonts. I want it to be at least a size 16, maybe 18 is good. And I notice, and then I want it to be in the middle and the center. Okay, so notice that why is my window being weird? Why is my coffee being split? It's because of the size of the text box. So you want to make sure that you adjust that as well. So we can adjust that text box right there. Again, let me see. Okay, so if I make my little thing a little wider, there you go, Coffee Cafe. All right, and that's my logo for now. I don't want anything special. Maybe I can have a little heart shape in there if I wanted to, since they allow me to do shapes like that. I could do a heart. I could do a lightning bolt because, hello, it's coffee. It's supposed to wake you up, right? You could do anything that you feel inspired to do. I noticed that, wasn't there a star in here? Star shape. Nope, I don't see the star shape anymore. But you'll be able to look that up if you go to more shape. Oh, here it is. So let's say I want a star because I'm Coffee Cafe. I want my star to be there. Okay. Be able to draw it in right there. And let's say I want it to be yellow. So I can go ahead and come here and I can make it this bright yellow right here. Make sure I changed my outlining to be the same color. And boom. I am Coffee Cafe. I am trying to make a rendition of the Starbucks logo. But here you go. And that's what I'm going to use for my logo. All right. So you can create whatever you want. It's just a fun way to design your book, as well as like be able to keep all this. Okay. And I believe that's the last thing that I'm supposed to teach you on as far as this class. So any questions about whether drawing shapes, doing spark lines, smart art, any graphs and things like that? Anything you want to add on or have questions about?
So on that first graph, though, or the screen that you have right now,
Uh-huh.
we can highlight any of those information that you wanted to present as a graph. Because in here right now, you indicated the when you were showing it the first time, you highlighted only the supreme C, column C and
Uh-huh.
D.
Uh-huh.
But then again, as you go through in explaining, we can insert any using those plus sign, brush, or the what you call this now? What do you call those collection signs? Yeah, but
Um, it
or
just
not necessarily.
again, it depends on what you want to display as for
Okay.
information. In this case, if I were to select all of the information, what
Mm-hmm.
Excel is going to do is it's going to try to make sense of the information and just pile it into one entire formula or one entire graph. Okay? And sometimes yes, it could be useful, sometimes it's not. Sometimes like that's why like for me I had to change some of my information just so that my graph can depict exactly what I want to
Yeah.
show in my thing. So in this case I wanted to just show sales and I wanted to show the months. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and then I have to indicate, well, where does Supreme Coffee go? Well, you're gonna have to locate that somewhere on here. Okay, so again, it just depends on what information you are displaying. You do not need to highlight every single cell in
Okay.
when you create your table. Okay, you only gonna highlight the ones that you want to display the information in. Okay, and what you can also do is when you create your table and stuff, you can actually create this and be able to have it on another spreadsheet. Okay, your book shows you how to do it. In this case, I want to have the information right here and also displayed right here. Now, what you can do too is you can actually move this on top of your table to hide that table. So then you could be like, well, that's my table here. Okay? I don't need to have the information behind, but at least I know by me moving this over, I
Mm-hmm.
know that my table is behind there. Okay? And then also you have a little what do you call it? A little filter tab here. It does the same thing as when we learned filters. You can toggle it by each month. Like I only want to display just the month of January and February. So that means it's going to take away this month. Watch. So once I've done that and I click apply, it only shows me January and February. Okay? Yes. So these filters also apply. Okay? I didn't go into it just because we've already spent a couple chapters in filters. So it does the same thing as far as if you want to display certain information, you can choose to do so. Okay? Any other questions as far as this? Tomorrow we will be looking at an example to be able to toggle all four things that we five things that we taught that were taught in chapter 9.
Chapter 9.
Yes. Okay. Okay, go ahead and give yourself a read for that chapter again. Not it just basically I just gave you like a really short rundown on what you are expected to see when you're looking through each one. But I will change it up just a bit. Maybe I'll have you do a pie chart instead of a regular column graph. Just be expected for that. Um, and that's how you are able to do all this information right here. Okay? If you don't have any other questions, you guys are free to go.